Here's another question that I have for you with regards to the mitigation of this. What happens if the tariffs change completely, like he decides to remove tariffs off a country? Let's say tariffs from Colombia, where a lot of coffee comes from. What happens if he removes tariffs tomorrow, but you receive coffee today?
You are out of luck.
No
So that
shit, really?
happened. Yeah. So remember that one day of the pause?
Yeah.
So there was a day where everything had those tariffs. European Union had 20%. Vietnam had 43%. If you happen to be unlucky where your customs broker made entry on your behalf in that 24-hour period, you paid those tariffs.
Wow. And there's no legal recourse.
Nope.
If the content we bring you on the podcast has helped you with your business or your career and you're looking for a way to financially support the independent production of this podcast, you can do that for as little as a few dollars a month by backing us on Patreon or becoming a paid subscriber on our YouTube channel. Another way to support us and continue your learning is to purchase one of our on-demand workshops available on our website, mapitforward.coffee/workshops. Check the show notes for links, and as always, thanks for the support. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is unfortunately episode 5 of a 5-part series with Mollie Sitkowski, who is a trade compliance partner at Faegre Drinker. And we are talking about Trump's tariffs and their implications on the global coffee industry. Mollie, Faegre Drinker is a huge law firm. Were you guys required to kiss the ring?
Yet? Not that has been reported yet. Excellent. I haven't heard anything. So,
okay. Fantastic.
But we should also say that these are my opinions.
Correct.
Of my own, not my law firm's, not legal advice, not business advice.
Right. So this is two people having a conversation about something that Mollie is an expert at, but she's not here as a representative of Faegre Drinker. She is somebody who I basically said, I love everything that you're doing on LinkedIn about these tariffs. Please come and talk to us and help us understand what they mean. So I would encourage everyone to check the show notes and find the link to Mollie's LinkedIn so that you can stay updated on all of the updates as well. So the reason I ask that question is because as a law firm, you guys are essentially advising your clients on how to mitigate these circumstances right now, how to basically either use what's happening to your advantage as a business or, all within the scope of the law, et cetera, et cetera. And I have been hearing about law firms that are also doing this, that are one of the big law firms that was, invited to kiss the ring. And I've wondered, how do they go and advise their clients given what's going on? And that's not for us to talk about because, we're not that law firm. But in your opinion, how do companies in the coffee industry look at what they're faced with right now, either in America or outside of America, and how do they mitigate the effects of these tariffs?
Well, so we talked about the 3 questions. Mm-hmm. What is it? How much is it worth? And where is it from? Mm-hmm. And those 3 questions are the way that you can mitigate some of these tariffs. So the what is it is really only worthwhile for the equipment, like the machinery we were talking about. Mm-hmm. So one of the exceptions to the reciprocal tariff, in particular the China tariff, is if you are subject to the aluminum and steel tariffs, you are not subject to the 125% China tariff. And so if you can look at the way you're importing your machinery and your classifications for the parts and components and how you're importing, and whether you have parts and equipment or spare parts that you're importing, are you correctly classifying them? Because there's a lot of customs rulings that they don't like parts of provisions. They like aluminum and steel provisions. So, taking a look at those tariff classifications and looking at customs precedent and seeing if you are classifying them according to customs precedent, you may actually be subject to the aluminum and steel tariffs and not the China tariff. Now, the problem with this is the fact that you're not subject to the reciprocal tariff and you are subject to the aluminum and steel tariff, that they are mutually exclusive right now, can be changed at any time, right?
Right.
Any of this can, unfortunately, because it is all kind of at the whim of an executive order.
Right. And what are the steel and aluminum tariffs right now?
25%.
Okay. So if you can class your equipment and make sure that, like, for the steel and aluminum components of that equipment, that is 25%. Everything else is 145% if it's coming from China.
Well, yeah, you would still be subject to the 20% March China tariffs.
Right.
Plus the original Trump tariff. But you might not be subject to the 125% tariff.
Right.
There's a lot of interesting rules about equipment classification, though. So it can get very complicated. So definitely consult a U.S. expert on that. But that is something that you might want to look into.
And that's another question. Businesses who don't know how to navigate this, what kind of a lawyer should they be looking for other than going to the show notes and contacting you?
Well, you can consult your customs broker. They usually have a consulting wing that they can put you in touch with. You can consult a customs consultants. They have them at most of the big four consultants. And then you can look for a trade compliance lawyer. But do look for one that has trade compliance experience. Yeah. Right. Look for... there's, the big law firms that do it. There are small shops that do it.
Clearly you've heard some horror stories.
Chambers rank. Yeah. And, people can put you in touch with people that they know. But there are, since Trump won, a lot of people who have done a few things and I do it all the time.
I see what you're saying. It's a booming part of your industry now. Right. So what are some other things that people can do to mitigate what's going on?
Well, we did talk about in the, outside the foreign suppliers. Well, drop shipping. We also talked about the country of origin. Right. So looking at different country of origin, whether it's for your coffee, roasting, or whether it's for your machinery, kind of looking at where you can assemble your machinery, the components, kind of looking at, can you change portions of your assembly line and move it to actually substantially transform it in a different country? That is a very, very fact-specific test as well. It's not easy. And so consulting a U.S. expert on that would be also a good idea. I will say that, so U.S. Customs does issue rulings to anyone. You can request it on their website. They are very conservative lately, though. So where they can find a China origin, or if now they might want it to be a part of an equipment rather than a steel part. So while it is the only way to be 100% sure of how they would treat something, it might not always be the right answer according to the language of the tariff schedule.
Right.
I once had them tell me that their tariff schedule had no duty rates in it, that they always just they wanted to find the correct answer. And I was like, how do you always come to the tariff classification with the highest duty?
Yeah.
Like, how is that possible?
Well,
that this weather station that goes on your wall is a clock and not a thermometer. Like,
wow. Well, like, I have a strange question. What incentive do they have to fix this situation, given the revenue they stand to make?
right. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Like that, I don't see any incentive given that there's a $1 trillion a year interest rate just on the deficit that they've got. I don't see, and the bond market is not doing is not behaving in any way the way that Trump wants it to. I don't see how this goes back to anything that it used to be.
Yeah. So they have no incentive to help you. You do have to exercise what's known as reasonable care when you're importing. So you have to consult customs rulings in the past. You have to look at the language of the tariff schedule and, you know, the regulations about substantial transformation, although they are very, very slim as to how you look at what a substantial transformation is.
So you can't like, close one eye and interpret it that way.
But so you have to exercise reasonable care, and consulting a compliance expert in the United States is considered an aspect of reasonable care. So,
okay, if I get a bottle and I buy the bottle from China, but then I take it to Bangladesh and I put my logo on it, is that changing it enough?
No, not at all. That's called a transshipment, and that's what we were worried the penguins were going to do.
Okay, fantastic. All right, fuck the penguins. What happens if you get it wrong?
If you get it wrong, you have to pay the back duties.
Yeah.
And if customs thinks that you did it wrong negligently, like you ignored a ruling on a very similar product, or you ignored a ruling that you yourself got, then you are also responsible for paying back at the very lowest level 2 times the duties.
For real?
So, yeah. And they have a statute of limitations of 5 years. So, like, if you got it wrong for 2 years of the Trump administration, then they can go back this entire time, basically.
Okay. I mean, it's kind of wild. I'm trying to understand how businesses are meant to survive this next 4 years if you're doing business in an industry that has no choice but to import pretty much everything that they do. I just don't understand. And it's not just the small businesses that are being impacted by this, the huge companies. America is the largest consumer of coffee in the world.
Yeah. I know whenever I go to Europe and they have the little coffees, their espressos, and I'm like, can I have that entire carafe you just made on your oven?
You don't, Mollie,
my European friends. Yeah. And my European friends are like, the entire one? And I'm like, yeah, and can we make a second? And they're like, I'm like, I need like 16 ounces at least.
I mean, here's another question that I have for you with regards to the mitigation of this. What happens if the tariffs change completely, like he decides to remove tariffs off a country? Let's say tariffs from Colombia, where a lot of coffee comes from. What happens if he removes tariffs tomorrow, but you receive coffee today?
You are out of luck.
No.
So that happened.
Really?
Yeah. So remember that one day of the pause?
Yeah.
So there was a day where everything had those tariffs. European Union had 20%. Vietnam had 43%. If you happen to be unlucky where your customs broker made entry on your behalf in that 24-hour period, you paid those tariffs.
Wow. And there's no legal recourse?
Nope.
Wow.
Same with the Canada-Mexico. There were tariffs, that USMCA
Yeah.
exemption took effect 3 days after the tariffs took effect.
Yep.
If you made entry within those 3 days, even if your goods qualified for USMCA, you were out of luck.
Given this uncertainty, is this supposed to stimulate? And this is a serious question. I'm sure it sounds like this is a loaded question. I'm being serious. Is the objective in the long term to stimulate business ownership? Because I can just see this as being the uncertainty making it terrifying for people to do business in an industry like mine, coffee.
You gotta take off your logic.
You're fantastic at that.
Take it off.
I'm sorry.
At the beginning, literally the first month, some of the, we'll call them more experienced lawyers, they'd be like, he can't possibly mean you're stacking the Canadian and the aluminum on top of each other. Like, that can't be possible. And we're like, you gotta take off your logic. Take it off.
But you can understand why this is breaking our brains, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are we meant to make decisions? Actually, that raises another question. Right now, it's just on goods. Is there a possibility this is going to be on services as well?
I mean, it's possible, but customs can't. There's no way they can do that. Okay. There already is kind of a tariff on services in the form of R&D and engineering. It's called a CIS. Mm-hmm. So any foreign R&D and engineering that occurs outside the United States that's paid for by a U.S. party and is necessary for the production of an imported product is technically included in the value of that imported product.
Right. So if, for example, if you bought some equipment from China and you needed someone to come in and assemble it, that is included as a part of the product.
No. So if the assembly occurs after importation, you don't have to include that.
Okay.
But if let's say you were making a brand new espresso machine and George Clooney was going to advertise it for you. No. But if you were making a brand new espresso machine in Italy and there was some new Italian engineers who were working on some new method of making it so that I could actually use it, that those Italian engineers, if you were paying for that in the United States, their work would be dutiable.
Okay. And they all look like George Clooney, so we can go with that analogy. That's not a problem. Okay. Mollie, thank you very much for all of this. This has been amazing. Could you tell people how they could get in contact with you, and like all the fun, other than whitehouse.gov, all the fun websites that they can go to find you?
Well, follow me on LinkedIn is probably the best because I do post the tariff things when they happen. Yep. So Mollie Sitkowski, Sitkowski on LinkedIn. And then if you search that on Faegre Drinker, you'll find me there. That's how you can get in touch with me. And then a really good resource besides whitehouse.gov is the CSMS page for CBP and the Federal Register. That's kind of where you see if what Trump posts on Truth Social is actually going to take effect.
Because it might not. Okay, excellent. Mollie, thank you again. I think the big takeaway from this is we know what's happening right now with tariffs and it could change in 10 minutes from now. So keep an eye on Truth Social and hope you stay in business.
Well, but if you don't want to keep an eye on Truth Social, you can go on and follow me on LinkedIn because I will do it for you.
Okay, guys. Thank you again, Mollie. Would you do me the honor of signing us off for this series?
Peace, love, and peanut butter.
Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone.
Oh, you got the balloons, though.
Bye, everyone.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward.